people, hello, what's going on? The sun is blazing outside. It still is technically blazing, not quite set in the realms of England land. However, nothing quite competes to the heat of the desert and the heat of competition in the Blackout Racing League. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to week number 3 of season 16 of the best F1 racing league you've ever seen. And before we get started with all of the pleasantries, let's tick off the list of things to talk about. We're talking about the calendar. This is where we are. Qatar, as I alluded to last time out, is a good indication as to how many people are going to explode during this particular event. 100% race round Qatar. 100% race. The second 100% race, fully 100%, that Blackout have done on F1 23. The last time they did one was the British Grand Prix last season. And, sorry, I'm just trying to remember who won that race. Oh, yeah, it was me. That was a fun race. It was actually a genuinely very fun race. Had a very decent first stint. Then the rain came about. Switched on to the inters. My wet pace wasn't great. I had to kind of sort of train on the fly how to drive in intermediate conditions because I'm a dry weather merchant. Thanasi was catching me. Towards the end of the stint, I grew in confidence. Eventually, pretty much matched his pace, which is good news. And then a virtual safety car came out. I judged the conditions to perfection, partially because I was panicking on the radio. Got onto the softs, got a gap, and then my last dry stint was, quite frankly, bombastic. And that's all you need to know. At the end of the day, it was a great race, and I know that this one will be great as well. And I get to commentate on it and watch along with it with all of you. And that is all part of the fun, realistically. It is all part of the fun. Now, interesting news in terms of the championship. I don't know whether they have actually updated the graphics for it, but I'm just trying to find that out now. You can tell I'm really prepared for this particular eventuality, can't you? It's unbelievable, isn't it? Let me see. Is there any update on the standings in the Blackout chat? The answer is no. However, if I went on an internet, I'd be able to tell you that despite not, well, if they haven't updated it to include the Australia results yet, but Milo and Thanasi were on the same number of points, on 77. Valtteri Bottas is very proud. However, after the Australia race, I have no doubt that Milo has taken the lead of the Drivers' Championship standings, which is quite unbelievable. McLaren man Milo on the march, and he'll be looking for potentially 4 wins in a row at the Qatar Grand Prix. However, it is going to be a humongous ordeal, because 100% race, there is, well, not only more time for others around you to make mistakes, but there's also plenty more time for you to make mistakes as well. To keep that level of consistency, to be on it like a car bonnet every single apex of every single corner is a very, very tough job indeed. But we will see how the cream of the crop in the Blackout Racing Series can do. Like I said, there's no championship standings and there's nothing else to really talk about. So all I can show you now is these lovely graphics. Look at them. Magico, my darling husband, has made these wonderful screens. Look at me. That right there is a vixen. You would, if you went in a club and saw that man, you would go for that man. Let me be honest with you. Doesn't matter what the circumstances are. That man right there is a big fox in the box. And I don't really want to allude to whatever that means, so we're going to move on. Magico also made this. He made the championship standings. As you can see, if you look closely, the Blackout League is on fire. And based on the heat in the desert at Qatar, there's a good chance all the cars will look like this as well. Anyway, back to standby. The lobby is up. People are joining. And I can confirm that despite being a week of 100% racing, that actually we are going to have the most packed grid of the season yet, which is quite unbelievable. We have, like I say, 16 people joining in the chaos. There are 3 that unfortunately cannot make it, one of which is Thanasi actually can't make the Qatar Grand Prix. Now, that is very interesting. Pathiman also can't make it, but there's a very good reason why he can't make it. He's watching France put up their conquest to beat Austria in the Euros. We also have Wilco, who is not able to make it. France have just began their campaign against Austria in the Dusseldorf arena. And we're going to see, I'll be giving you live updates not only on the heat of driving excellence, but also on the heat of French competition. So then, all that there is to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to wait nice and patiently. And then the duels in the desert, the many, many duels in the desert, can commence. And it's going to be a very, very enticing evening of racing, with some football and Euros sprinkled in. By the way, who saw the England game? I imagine quite a few people did. I'm not entirely convinced. Bellingham played well. Bellingham played well. Rice played well, actually, as well. And Saka played pretty well on the whole. Foden partially didn't play great, but also is partially being played out of position, so I can understand why. Gehi, who I thought I was kind of sceptical about starting, actually played pretty damn well the entire game. So I can't be mad. I can't actually be mad at England for starting him. So fair play to him. Thank you for proving me wrong, Sunshine. I hope you continue to start and continue putting in a shift. Harry Kane, will he score ever in this tournament? Well, if he ends up being as much like Casper as he was in the game against Serbia, then it could be very interesting indeed. France have just had their first attack of the game. Ousmane Dembele has lost the ball. What's new? Also, Belgium losing to Slovakia. Lukaku put on his best pair of Timberlands for that game at the first touch of a charging rhinoceros. Absolutely disgraceful. Anyway, what is there to say other than we are going to throw on some music. Limar's fouled Mbappe. France have a free kick in crossing range already after 3 minutes. And it could be a very, very long night for the Austrian faithful. Like I say, though, we are going to switch on the jamming tunes, and then we'll be right underway for the first and only race of the blackout evening. If you have any predictions about who's going to win tonight, throw them in the chat, and we'll be underway soon.
like you, be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one, only one. I was an ordinary boy until I broke the rules. My life destroyed, life destroyed. Until I walk awake, scream my mind, I shout, the ground shakes. How much can I take? My mind will break. Will it break?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get some racing underway. It's time for the Qatar Grand Prix. Or should I say qualifying? Because that's what comes first in Formula 1. Come on, people, you should know this by now. Just waiting for proceedings to get underway. We have a smattering of the best, of the very best, the cream of the crop, creme de la creme of the Blackout Racing League. And it's going to be a very, very fun time indeed. Only 12 people here for qualifying initially, which could be quite interesting. However, we'll gloss over that for the time being. Let's find out who's going to firstly get out onto the track first, and then we will see who can claim pole position with no Thanassi in this race. How about that? That is quite a surprise for me. I thought he would almost certainly be here to do some dirty and dastardly damage. I don't know why it'd be disgusting. I don't want to question it. But it's Dirkleton returning to form. He's the first one out on the track. It's been a while, actually, I think, since he's been the very, very first out on the track. From what I've seen, anyway. Although my retinas have the memory of Lionfish, so that's probably not a great comparison. But out onto the LaSalle circuit. Completely remodeled for the new F1 24 game. Unfortunately, we're not on it because it's bad. Like I say, handling didn't need to be a revolution, it just needed evolution. And they ignored it. Because they wanted EA Sports dynamic handling. Look at these suspensions on the cars. We lean more than Pisa. Weaving a little bit to warm up the tyres. Behind him, it's the big swimmer. I imagine he had a fascinating time watching the Le Mans 24 hours this weekend. Congratulations to Ferrari, who have won it now twice in a row. Could they make it a hat-trick next year? That is projecting very far in the future, so I'm not going to bother. However, we need to consider strategies for this particular qualifying session as well. Are people brave enough to potentially just do one lap in this session, save an extra set of soft tyres, and then carry that over for the race? Or do they just go balls to the wall, absolutely send it? That is the question, isn't it? That is the question, and we will have the answers very soon. I don't know how to switch the camera on keyboard. That is a skill issue. Dirkleton certainly isn't one, though, as you shall see right now. Into turn one, just about hugging the apex, but carrying the momentum, crucially for him. Same again, into turn two. A little bit circumspect as he heads towards the apex. A little bit conservative even. However, not laborious in any way, though he would be sure to vote for that one. Through the double right-hander he goes, and into the hairpin. It's a purple sector one. Dirk is cooking, ladies and gentlemen. The 21 is a display of how savagely this man drives as he sweeps into the right-hander for the first time. That seemed quite wide, although the camera angle doesn't do it nearly enough justice. Hugging that apex, this corner here, very difficult, but nice and cleanly done. Bit of a slide on the exit. Very, very easy to overcook it on that particular corner. It's a race to get on the power. If you do it just slightly too early, you end up shipping hundredths, maybe even tenths of a second, depending on how much you overcook it. Crucially, Dirkleton staying in track limits and staying in 7th gear for that corner. That is mighty nice indeed. Pinching the apex. Probably can afford to expand his track limit horizons a bit more, but it doesn't matter. Crucially, it's a clean lap on the board, and it is a 1 minute 23.936. What can Big Swimmer do in his Alpha Tauri? It's fastest by 1.4 whole seconds. Let the endurance man cook. That is an absolutely phenomenal starting point as Dirkleton goes for a bit of sightseeing in the desert, which, well, you won't see a lot, mate, I'll be honest with you. I'd curtail that particular expedition immediately, but Buck 57 is next to start a flying lap in this session. On board with the Red Bull driver as he heads into turn 1. Flick the car in, try and sweep it through with a bit of trail braking. Get on the power as early as you can, use all of the outside of the track. Hit that apex late, use all of the track again on the exit, and then it's just a momentum game all the way through. Right-hander turning a bit earlier than you think you can afford to use that curb on the right. Same here. Try not to lift all the way off. A little bit of throttle, crucially, will make the difference. Nicely pinched into the hairpin. On the traction. Again, no one fully exploring the extremities of the track limits, at least not just yet. This is a much better angle to give a perspective on just how the drivers are taking that right-hander. And in Buck 57's case, it was very nicely done. Sweeping through the left-hander, that is also very calm, collected, and composed from the lone Red Bull soul. As he now terrapins his way through 1, through 2, and then slices through that right like a swordfish. That was so close to an invalidation, but I rate the commitment immensely, as now there's only 1 corner to go between himself and the end of his first flying lap of the Losail circuit. And a very, very nicely done lap there from Buck 57. Across the line he will go. Will it be provisional pole? Yes, it will. The first driver into the 1 minute 21s. Just breaching that particular barrier, but very, very nicely done there from the Toro Rosso man. I can call that car whatever I want now because the other one is MasterCard contactless or whatever it's called. We have a couple more cars, one of which, championship leader Milo, is out onto the track for his first lap of the day. Look at him go. Look at him go. Leading the championship by a decent margin, actually. Would have been a bit less of a decent margin had there not been a slightly controversial incident between Tim Alele and Thanasi at the end of the previous race. Tim's actually sent me a clip of the incident, so we're going to have a nice reaction to it after this race, although I'm sure there'll be a smattering of selective moments in this particular scrap that we will have to assess as well. I apologise for not doing it last week. I completely forgot, I'll be honest with you. But I shall endeavour not to forget this time. J-Lane's out of the pit lane. So is... and Dirkleton's had enough. Dirkleton has had enough. And I can't even go onto his point of view to judge what on earth's happened there. I can only assume it's a crippling gearbox failure. No, it's devastation for Dirkleton. And Milo is already playing chicken with track limits. As into turn 1, the championship leader goes for the first time this session. Pinching it in, scrubbing a bit of speed off in the initial phase. Carries good momentum on the way through. Not so for the second corner, and that's lovely on the track limits. He might well be listening in and making sure that he just makes every single track limit as clear-cut as possible. Take no prisoners in that McLaren car. A little bit on the table there, though. Although it's still a purple Sector 1, nonetheless. Through the left-hander. And then into the right. Just like how most circuits work. You can definitely brake later into there. It's ridiculous how late you can brake and just trail your way into the apex. How late do you dare to brake for the left? That is nicely done from the McLaren man. Championship leader nearly has completed Sector 2. Is it purple? Yes, it is purple. One more sector to go. And that'll be the first flying lap done for Milo. Sacrificing 7th gear for that corner. Not sacrificing any speed through the left-hander. That was millimetrically perfect from the McLaren Maestro. Through the right-hander, a bit of a slide towards the mid to late phase. And he's got his flappage wide open, light flashing. It's provisional pole by 0.4 of a second. Mr. Millo is cooking. And given that it's in the desert, well, the fact he hasn't overcooked it is mightily impressive. So fair play to him. Jamble Tarquin's out on a lap, but J-Lane is completing a lap. Just gone through the left-hander. And, oh, Buck 57's gone again, and he's gone even faster. Hello? That came almost out of nowhere. I didn't expect that. Is that on the same set of tyres? Hang on a second. We need to assess this right here, ladies and gentlemen. Tyres. That's on the same set of tyres. Buck 57 has just gone 0.4 faster. There you go. You don't even need the new tyres. That is just what a bit of confidence can give you in this session. Unbelievable. 200ths in it. J-Lane about to cross the line. Where does he go? Goes P3 for the time being. Buck 20 to cross the line. Reed claims, well, I say that, claims P3 as Maximus joins the session. The American Dream have a car in their ranks. And amidst the sea of cars, which is ironic given we're in the sandy desert of Losail, there will be an American. Who else is on lap times? Well, Jamble Tarquin's about to start one. He's invalidated his outlap, which is not a great start. However, he will do his best to cook up. As will this man. The Flying Scotch. Terziak through the double right-hander. Keeping it safe and sound in track limits, but it's a purple Sector 1 for the Scarlet Ferrari. Hardly any steering lock. Absolutely fantastic rotation. Through the left-hander, a bit more momentum carried through the right-hander, just seeing more and more confidence being applied and possibly track evolution being sprinkled and seasoned into that mix, which is all the more fun. Mercedes man of Magico's just started his lap. The McLaren gets dutifully out of the way. That's a Buck 20. Terziak full throttle through the right-hander, almost invalidates but keeps it completely pinned to the floor. Probably out of sheer surprise, chickens out into 5th gear, but carries great momentum through the final corner. That is very, very impressive from the prancing horse. Has he got a spring in his step? You're about to find out. It's provisional pole position, but it's only 900ths in it. And that could get very tasty. It's about 20 now, that is. Going for another lap. Hasn't been able to fully recharge his battery, though, so that could be interesting. J-Lane's just gone for another lap. I presume a cooldown. Jamble Tarquin will cross the line behind. Goes P2 on his first lap out of the pit lane. Might have invalidated the out lap, but I'll tell you what, that lap certainly is valid in multiple contexts. That is lovely stuff from Jamble Tarquin in the Aston Martin car. One of them's retired from the session. Maybe to save tyres. Maybe it's just a strategic masterstroke, but Jamble Tarquin doing everything he needs to do. We have a Magico, though, and he's about to cross the line and go P8 for the time being. Although I'm sure confidence will play a part in that. He could easily go back to the pits, fit on a fresh set of boots, and go again. Or, as Buck 57 and Buck 20 are now attempting to prove, you can actually strap the same set of softs on, keep it on, in fact, go out and set an even faster lap just by being more confident. Oh, never mind. Here's Tim. Tim's got pole position. It's a 1 minute 21.237. There you go, then. The Mercedes man making his mark on this session. Vulcan and Stark yet to venture out of the pit lane. Maximus, though, has ventured out of the pit lane. Ladies and gentlemen, in other news, it's still 0-0. It is still 0-0 in this game. However, Phil McNulty of BBC Sport says France look ominous. They say Mbappe looks dangerous. Grass is green, mate. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, back to the real action. The action that matters. Big Sam is on a lap, and he's a 10th up currently on his lap time, although that left-hander was pure, 1000% commitment. Magico is retiring from the session. possibly to save some tyres, and that is quite a quirky and smart move, so I rate that. Big Sam across the line, and it will remain in 8th place. It's a slight improvement, but not enough to propel him up the order. The Haas of Maximus just about to start his flying lap, but it's J-Lane in the Alfa Romeo that has done a time identical to Milo's on the old tyres. I'll tell you what, and he's on absolutely zero battery. The Duracell Bunny is goosed. He's finished. Blood has actually been cooked. That is unbelievable. Would not be a surprise to me if people actually just did the one lap and saved some soft tyres. As boring as that would be in this qualifying session, which I almost wouldn't approve on some way. Maybe Stark actually isn't going to set a lap time. Or maybe he will and I just don't know about it. Anywho, the point is, actually doing just the one lap and saving yourself some soft tyres opens up a world of strategies in the race. And let's remember, no points, in this league anyway, no points are awarded for pole position. It is all on race day where it counts. Speaking of making it count, Vulcan's counting the seconds as he heads his way towards turn number 1, braking towards the right-hander. And no, that's not an insult, I'm just saying it how it is. Into the left-hander he goes, sweeping through. The luck of the Irish, doesn't need any luck there. That is just fantastic driving as he now charges his way down towards the first of the double right and unsurprisingly goes through the second. Again, track limits not being furiously played with. It's a purple sector 1 for Vulcan though, which I'm looking at the time on the top right and I'm pretty sure it isn't. He's at least a 10th off, but either way, if it is actually a purple sector 1, then listen, fair play. That's all I'm going to say. I will eat my words. And I would actually, because they taste very nice. Maximus will not cross the line because he's invalidated his lap time. And that is not great. Where's Vulcan in all of this, though? Gunning it through the triple right-hander like the Rebel Alliance, which, given the writing in recent Star Wars films, means he's almost certainly going to get pole position. Because that's the plot armor I've just given him. Into the right-hander he goes with a kick up the backside. Sponsor, DRS wide open, and a kick in the gonads from the slipstream. He will salamander his way to P8 on the grid. That is not too shabby and only a 10th behind Buck 20. McLaren are throwing all caution to the wind. They're deciding, I don't need soft tyres in the race. What are you talking about? Who needs them? We're going to go balls to the wall. It could be a three-way fight for pole position between Milo, J-Lane, and Buck 20. This could get very spicy. Maximus is on not another flying lap because he's about to start another flying lap, I suspect. Unless he goes into the pits, in which case it's qualifying done. And to be honest, as much as it sucks, I'd probably would actually go out. Just save yourself a set of softs. Stark is on a lap. Forget what I said. He's not going to sit out the whole session and do a reverse Sebastian Vettel, where he just doesn't set a lap time at all and watches everyone else capitulate. The answer is he will set a lap time. The game, according to Codemasters anyway, he's done a purple Sector 1. It's a case of what do Sector 2 and Sector 3 bring to the table. Will it bear fruit? Or will it bear a scimitar into his skull? We're going to find out very soon. Through the triple right-hander. Will it be invalidated? I sincerely hope not. The answer is no, it isn't. Stark is just that man. Great momentum carried through the left-hander. Now there's only one more corner between him and a decent spot on the grid based on what I've seen on this lap. DRS flappage is more open. I'm not going to finish that sentence. It's P7 for Stark. Very nicely done indeed. That is Vulcan crossing the line, and he's actually going to do another flying lap on that same set of the soft boots. Through the right-hander he goes, and it's red. Unless my game is bugging out. No, it's genuinely red. J-Lane has started a lap. Both McLarens have as well. Who's first on the track? This time, it's Buck 20. But he's invalidated. Skill issue. Milo's next. The McLaren man. Mincing his way through every single apex. Using every single crack and crevice of the tarmac in Lusail to try and claim pole position. He's absolutely gunning for it. The irony of being sponsored by Dark Trace is that Milo's so fast in the dark, you can hardly catch him. with DRS open. Will my point be proven correctly? Across the line. It's not pole position. It's agonizingly close. It was a purple sector 3, but it's not to be. Timalele crosses the line. I mean, it's a checkered flag anyway, but he has pole position unless No, he can't. No, he cannot. Vulcan could... No, he cannot. Big Swimmer could... No. Terziak, he's on a lap. Oh my god, he's only 49 thousandths down on his time. And Sector 3 really was where all the time was shipped. There is no water in the desert, so how on earth he managed to ship something in a country with no moisture is completely unbeknownst to me. However, one last corner again, dropping down to 5th through that last left-hander. I'd only go down to 6th personally, however... Listen, it's not my decision to make. I'm not driving. It could garner him. Pole position. It has garnered him. Pole position. The Flying Scotsman has pole. I think for the first time this season of Blackout. By 0.04 of a second to the absolute dot. Terziak claims Ferrari's first pole position of the season. His first pole position of the season. At the last gasp, he's pulled through, he's done it! Fantastic stuff, what an end to qualifying at the Losail circuit. And Terziak well and truly did sail his way onto pole at the last moments. What a cracking little end to that lap. I said it was all going to come down to that final sector. He absolutely proved me right. Nothing in it to separate. It's if your name begins with a T, everyone else just give up, clearly, because you just can't get them off the front of the grid in qualifying. However, the race is where it counts. Terziak and Tim have the front row. Milo in the McLaren, championship leader, P3. Jamie Tarquin, one lap wonder, comes P4. I don't want to say that ever again, but it's Buck 57 5th. Then it's J-Lane Stark, Buck 20 Vulcan, Big Sam, my husband Dirkleton, and Maxi Haas. Very good. And now, ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves, because it is race day, and it is going to be a scintillating slobber knocker for the ages. My brother says, guess who's back? Back again. Bro is back. Gotta tell you, friend, it's time for the Qatar Grand Prix, sponsored by DHL. But who will deliver the best result today? That is the real question. Also sponsored by Qatar Airways. So the real question is, given that they're an airline, who's going to be the most unethical driver of the race? Right? No? No? Oh, okay. Alright, just me then. Anyway, we wait patiently for the grid to form up, and then we will soon be underway. Like I say, it depends on what tyres everybody has chosen to save. If they've done the one lap, or the couple of laps, on just the one set of tyres, they have saved an extra set of softs. So there is a possibility, without safety cars, for the two-stop. Soft, soft, medium seems to be the fastest delta time. However, with how aggressive the tyre wear is, and also the fuel burn, there is plenty more than just pure driving that is going to win this Qatar Grand Prix race tonight. And it is truly tonight. We are actually in the dark. Imagine if this race was in the day. There's no... The Guinness World Record for the hottest temperature on the Earth would be broken. Can I also just say, how do they know the Earth's core is as hot as it is? How have they... It melts everything. How have they managed to find out that? I think there's been some hacking going on there. The world is Minecraft conspiracy. Anywho, we wait patiently, and soon, with all the delay, we will soon be on the way. Lights out, and away we go. And it is a decent start for Terziak initially. Looked like he had a bit of wheel spin, but Timalele does well well, to pay his compliments. Holds it down the inside, though. A little bit of space left. J-Lane has not been taken out on the first lap. He's into P4 and looking for more as he's looking to go round the outside of Jamie Tarquin, who's up into P3. Milo has shipped a few positions. Into P5 he goes. Stark looking to go down the inside, but no avenue opening up, although he's practically pushing Milo through the first corner. Terziak holds the lead for the time being. Loads going on as we head into the hairpin. Vulcan down the inside of Buck 57. Actually could get the move done here, but Buck 57 has that inside line. Will defend the position. Maybe a potential for a switchback, but nothing doing there. He will have to wait for the next opportunity, the next bite of the cherry, as it were. So, Terziak leads, Tim second, Jamie Tarquin third, J-Lane in fourth. Stark looking ever more dangerous on Milo's diffuser. Practically sniffing it. He's got his nose right inside it. It's a disgusting phrase, but one that's highly appropriate given the contest we have. And this crucial clash could maybe set the tone, although it's not a great last penultimate corner, should I say. Buck 57 steaming down the inside. Stark has to go wide, but through goes the Red Bull man. But with a helping hand of Slipstream, Stark won't be able to defend hugely. There's going to be a position change for the lead, possibly. Vulcan down the inside. It's 3 wide going into turn 1. Vulcan has made 2 positions in a single straight. Delightful move from the Alfa Romeo driver. Terziak, meanwhile, up ahead, holds the lead, but a great opportunistic, brave move from the Alfa Romeo driver. They are 4th and 6th in this race. What a turnaround of fortune so far. Meanwhile, there's battling behind. No, stand tall, husband. Dive down the inside. Show no... You know what, actually, fair enough. It's only lap 2 out of 57. Up ahead, though, things should, in theory, calm down, but J-Lane shows no signs of calming down. Those softs immediately fired up. And depending on strategies, there's a number of ways this could go. The softs, if you have 2 sets of softs, they can last 18 laps each. 18 laps, then on to lap 36 for the final stop, then mediums for 21 laps, all the way to the end. But that is pending the fact, whether they've saved 2 sets of softs, and whether my English doesn't combust. But J-Lane through the left-hander looking ever more dangerous, getting closer and closer. Just got to think patiently as Buck 57 already has a time penalty for track limits. And that could also be a really big deciding factor in this contest, is how many penalties are you going to accrue and accumulate. Already 1 for the Red Bull driver. J-Lane wasting no time at all. He's through on the Aston Martin driver of Jamble Tarquin. Into the podium positions he goes. Jamie will try and do a switchback in towards turn 2, but to no avail. The Alfa Romeo man is through. There's a mistake for Stark, though. Spins round at turn number 2. He gets going again. There's no damage to his Williams wagon, only emotional. Back to the battling up at the front, though. Terziak not really sprinting away at the start of this race. Both he and Tim on the medium tyres. J-Lane in a good position, but he has to use those softs to good effect. If he wants to really make the most of it, he has to get past these 2 and then make a charge for it as much as he can. Maybe there's some strategy at play, though. 2-stop and 3-stop. There's not much to separate between them. 2-stop is the faster delta, but if you want to go 110% every single lap, every single corner, 3-stop is your friend. So, like I say, only a few seconds, if not almost nothing to separate it. J-Lane just backed off a little bit for the time being. So on board with a man who's definitely got a plan. It's Big Swimmer. Looking to slip and slide his way through on Buck. I'm sorry, that was disgusting. Timilele making a move for the lead, though. Round the outside he goes with a helping hand of DRS. Flappage. He makes his way through into the lead, and now the Scarlet Ferrari has to stare at the rear end of the Silver Arrows car, which is coloured black. This top 4, in fact, maybe top 5, nay, top 6, Vulcan is absolutely going for it. Miller will do well to stay in DRS range of the top 4. Sort of teetering right on the knife edge of just being out of it. And if he does go out of it, well, Vulcan has every single opportunity to get past him, make his way into P5. Then it's Alfa Romeo 3 and 5. But you have to play your battles safely here. You have to play it smart. Sometimes it's not about being a hero at every single corner. You have to be patient. There's an element of finesse about the finest Formula 1 racecraft on the grid. We shall see what fruit it bears. Terziak dropping off the back of Timalele. On board with J-Lane. Let's see what charge he can make. Bit of understeering Kurd. Not taking any chances with the track limits, and I do not blame him one bit. We'll still have DRS though. Just remember, a very heavy car. There's another track limits penalty for Maxi Haas this time. Oh dear. Although he is on the back of Big Swimmer, as Timalele, unsurprisingly, sets the fastest lap of the race. Jamie Tarquin could go for a disgusting dive. No, he won't. And rightly so, because that would have been absolutely disgraceful. So, Timalele and Terziak looking to break away. J-Lane falling off the rear of this pack. Let's see if he's using any ERS to try and counter that. Not at the moment, but it is quite low. Jamie Tarquin on half ERS. Not fighting it at all. Both the top two have pretty much identical ERS. And it could come down to strategies. There's another problem, and it's for Buck 57. He's in the gravel. He's going to be very careful about how he rejoins this race. And he has been exceptionally careful. Stark arriving on the scene. Charges round the outside, and he's no longer last. I'll give you a clap, sir. In other news, ladies and gentlemen, Austria are holding France back. Well, there you go. In fact, Austria were very close to getting the lead. That is quite something. Anywho, back up at the front, what are we saying? Timalele almost out of DRS range. In fact, now is out of DRS range. But that was after the detection point, so Terziak will have his blushes spared and will have some flappage at his disposal. But it will only gain him so much, as Timalele has used battery. Probably pushing now to try and get out of DRS range. Feels like he's got the pace. Perhaps running a bit more of a stable setup as well. We don't know what the situation is. However, if he is, perhaps having a little bit more protection of his tyres overall. And to have that rear end planted on this track with how aggressive the tyre wear is as well. As you can see, the remnants of Buck 57's little sandbox excursion. Whatever the case, not even phasing the Mercedes driver, as the big battle looks to be for P3. Two cars, and also Big Swimmer is on the back of Buck 20 still. McLaren both starting on the hard compound tyres, so unless they're going for an absolutely audacious one-stop, which is not possible. But if they are, then fair play to them, right up until the moment they get a certain puncher. J-Lane losing time. Hand over fist to the top two now. Soft's already kind of falling off. He'd do pretty well, actually, to let Jamie Tarquin through. And actually try and use his DRS and slipstream to gain some pace. A little feint to the inside from the Aston Martin driver. Looking to send J-Lane offline. However, his connection is very strong indeed. So he remains in the session. But it's going to be a surefire overtake. I have no doubt about it. It's going to be probably no ERS used from either of them. Yeah, indeed, no fight whatsoever. Jamie Tarquin up into the podium positions. Despite the colour of his car, has not had the rub of the green at all this season. Looking to make amends here at the 5th race of the season in the 3rd week. It may be his 3rd time lucky in terms of weeks for this particular driver. We shall soon find out. Let's see what J-Lane's pace is now that he's dropped behind the Aston Martin driver a bit wide into the entry of that particular hairpin. Big Swimmer still stuck behind Buck 20. Not much to talk about so far. There's a lot of DRS semi-training. Not really a huge amount of DRS training, I'll be honest with you. Big Sam could make the move on Buck 20, but choosing not to. Perhaps feeling like Buck 20 has the better overall pace. So he can use him as the horse for his kart. To pull away a little bit from Maximus, and then also maybe bring himself towards Vulcan, who now has a 2.7 second buffer and a 3 second time penalty to boot as well. So that is not ideal at all. quite obviously. J-Lane remains very nicely in DRS range. So not only will that protect him from Milo, so long as Milo doesn't burn every single ounce of battery to get ahead, and indeed he won't. J-Lane not doing so either. Might be thinking about going for a move. Thinks about going down the inside. Good grief, lads. I thought you were working together here. Big Swimmer will get past Buck 20. He's heard my calls. There is yet another move going on in this race, and it is for the zestiest underwater man in all of human history. Big Swimmer in the AlphaTauri car through into P7, and now can try and charge a little bit towards Vulcan, who loses yet another half a second to the group ahead. J-Lane driving very well. 8 laps old softs now. I can imagine they're, well past their sell-by date to some degree. But either way, driving pretty well. Right up until that right-hander. I'm going to stop talking about him. I'm giving him unnecessary pressure. Back up at the front. It's a 2-second gap now for Timolele. Maximus has got another 3-second time penalty. I'm pretty sure now that's 6 seconds worth of time penalties. Yes, it is. Oh dear. Tyre-wise, that's the situation. Maximus, the only other driver, except for the Alfa Romeos, running that soft tyre. And it's cost him. Because the grip loss is just that much more heinous and aggressive. And it ruins your day. So really at this point, we get to talking about the strategy. But Big Sam has not been able to make a vast amount of inroads onto Vulcan. If anything, losing more time. So Buck 20... well, despite the fact he has absolutely no battery left, would, well, be wise to try and get past the AlphaTauri driver. Will he give it a crack into turn number 1? No, he will not. He will remain behind for the time being. My husband, meanwhile, is in P10. This is great news. The man who is, well, he self-proclaimed himself for this week, exudes depression. Based on my commentary line last time out. Hopefully he can emanate optimism at this particular event. No massive history on it so far. No catastrophic capitulations from any of the drivers. It's just been good driving so far. As we are almost into double figures on the lap counter. Towards the end of lap number 9, the drivers will circumnavigate of the Losail circuit. Your race leader, this man, in the black arrow. Should I call it the Black Shadow? Or will I get a cease and desist through my door for using their name? Or like a copyright warning. I don't care. They won't. In fairness to them, if they watch Blackout and send a cease and desist through my door, I have to say to them, or in any league racing case, no matter if anyone called the Black Shadow and they sent a patent and cease and desist through their door, I would go, well, you really need to use your time more wisely. J-Lane still remains in DRS, defending quite aggressively to the inside, though, because Milo is not willing to wait around anymore. He's going to try and go for a move. Gets very, very close indeed, and gives J-Lane a big shove through the first turn. It is indeed a slight peck on the diffuser of Jimothy Lane. Unsettles the Alfa Romeo car, more so unsettles the McLaren, and I'm absolutely shocked that he got no front wing damage from that. And if that was his tactic to get J-Lane out of DRS range from Jamie Tarquin, then that was very crude. Also, in other news, I said Big Sam wasn't making vast inroads on Vulcan, but he is now. What was a 2.8 second gap, now 1.6. Now down to 1.5 seconds. Big Swimmer relishing the medium tyre compared to that sulking soft tyre, to which the tyre wear deficit is equivalent to that of, well, the food chain tree between a peregrine falcon and a vole. It's significant, let's put it that way. Do peregrine falcons actually eat voles? I don't care, so shut up. Lap number 10 of this race, the gap's sort of stabilising at the front. 2.5 seconds between Soot German and Soot Flying Scotsman. All to play for in this event, and it is 1-0 to France, ladies and gentlemen. It's an own goal from Austria. It says good play from Mbappe. They've said very good play by Killian Ninja Turtle in the build-up to that. Fair play to him, as Milo has indeed got past J-Lane. Who saw that one coming? I certainly did. Dirkleton, no! No, husband, stand tall! Dive down the inside! Show no mercy! Fair enough. It's only lap 11. There's a lot that can happen in this race. Speaking of which, it is lap number 11, and as I was saying, it's a Max Wober own goal. Speaking of his last name, he's probably going to get a job application at Woburn after that game, considering that own goal. I'm kidding, I'm sincerely hoping that's not how football works. Anyway, back at the front, Milo trying to get in DRS range of Jamie Tarquin. He's pushing like there's absolutely no tomorrow, despite not using any battery, but he has been one of the quickest, if not the quickest, in many cases so far this season. And he's proving his credentials once again. Jamie Tarquin not quite having the pace of the front two. Milo perhaps thinking that yes, he does. So let's find out. Meanwhile, the battle behind is going to get zesty. Big Sam, 7/10 of a second behind Vulcan. Will have DRS. Doesn't have much battery, although I suspect neither does... Oh, no, actually, no, I'm being quite harsh there. He does have quite a bit of battery. Not much battery at all, and it's not going to be close enough for Big Sam, the Alpha Tauri man. I've said many a times in terms of the racecraft, just feint a move to the inside sometimes. Use a bit of ERS. Yes, you are burning energy needlessly, but pile pressure on. Make them defend for no reason. If you get them to defend that fresh air, get a better exit, potentially aim for that switchback, the world is your oyster. And possibly the next position as well. Milo getting ever closer to overtaking Jamie Tarquin. The gaps are relatively spread out, but not as spread out as I've seen it in certain terms of Blackout. It's half-time, ladies and gentlemen, and France lead 1-0. Mbappe is running the show for France. Again, who's really surprised? 6/10 behind, turns to 5/10 as Milo chomps and chips away at the gap between himself and the Aston Martin driver. Taking a narrower line into the final corner. Has great momentum, though. Just under 4/10 as he opens the DRS, and you can bet your bottom dollar that he's going to use the battery and comfortably charge on through. He scorches Jamie Tarquin, surges up into the podium places, into P3, and now can see what his pace is like compared to the top two. Terziak just 3 seconds up the road. Timalele another 3.4 ahead of him. So championship leader, what have you got? Buck 57 though, gets past Stark. So he may have had that spin. However, it looks like the hard tyres are coming into their own at this stage. And I'm glad I worded it like that and not another way, because that would have been a disgusting phrase. Magico, though, is keeping up with Dirkleton well. What he exudes at the moment is tenacity, not depression. And there's still plenty that can happen in this race as Buck 20 gets past Big Sam, diving down the inside of the right-hander. Must have been a mistake at the hairpin beforehand. I can only assume that was the case, because Big Sam was piling on almost insurmountable pressure onto Vulcan. Buck 20, though, makes his way through into P7, and now it's his turn to go on the attack. J-Lane into the pits, so the first person to bite the bullet and pull the trigger is Jimothy Lane. He's got Chinese symbols on the front of his car. I'm going to stop right there. Let's put the medium tyres on and let's get out of this pit lane right away. As so does Maximus, two soft tyre runners. Yes, two soft tyre runners already into pit row. Maximus, instead of opting for the mediums and going for the alliteration strategy, has a hard-on. Child. Jamie Tarquin keeping up with Milo nicely, though. These two hard tyre runners have chomped into Terziak's margin by half a second. Terziak, he himself, has lost half a second to Timalele, which means to say that Milo actually is on the leader's pace currently, which is pretty impressive. Although it also might be something to do with the fact that the hard tyres are now crossing over and are slightly faster than the old mediums. But maybe I'm being too logical. Magico's now up into P9, ladies and gentlemen. Yes! Look at my husband go. That is a sexy man right there. Anyway, Buck 20 is getting very, very close to overtaking Vulcan now. It's now an 11.4 seconds worth of a gap between Vulcan and the next car, as Buck 20 gets a 3-second time penalty. Oh dear. And well, so does Big Sam, but I think there was, well, the proof was in the pudding right there, as Vulcan bites the bullet, gets into the pits. God's work is done. Buck 20 is in another continent compared to Jamie Tarquin, and the car's ahead, as Milo is now almost in DRS range of Terziak. Stark with a 3-second time penalty. There's a yellow flag. Buck 57 has met Barrier. He's chipped his front wing. Voldemort is going to... Well, it's actually no consolation, really. It's hardly any kind of reconciliation between Barrier and Buck 57's schlong. Either way, the proceedings are he penetrated Barrier. Barrier said no. And, well, when you put 2 and 2 together, it means the downforce is not looking good, and Voldemort is a very, very happy yet noseless bunny. 4.5 seconds to gap up at the front then. However, Milo is on the move. On the hard compound tyres, they are really starting to get into their own. Maximus through on Buck 57, but that's because of the front wing damage, partially. Also, new tyres. That will help. We'll see what kind of inroads he can make. J-Lane and Vulcan. Oh, no, Vulcan's on the hard tyres. I was going to say he's on the medium, so I apologise. He is not, in fact, on the medium tyres. Someone who is, though, is Terziak, and he is being gobbled up by Milo. The gap that was 6.4 to Timalele, now 4.8 seconds. And, of course, medium tyre runners maybe preserving their tyres, trying to go for less stops in this race. Hard tyre runner doesn't need to worry about such a thing. He can just get on with his day. Now 3/10 worth of a gap between Milo and the prancing horseman, as Stark, no, moves past my husband. Don't do it. Magico, go for the switchback. Yes, husband. Oh. Do you know what the idea was there? He might exude depression momentarily on that overtake, but actually, hold your head up, son. You're doing well. Terziak losing time hand over fist to Timalele on this lap. And it means all of Milo's hard work to get within 5 seconds of the race leader is now being put to the sword by the Scotch. Through the triple right. Sweep and sweep again. Don't exceed track limits, whatever you do, gentlemen. That is cleanly done from the pair of you, and I have pretty much 100% certainty that Milo is going to deploy the DRS and he's going to charge on through into P2. I'm a poet. I didn't know it. Milo certainly does, though. P2 is in his grasp, and now the charge towards Timbo can begin. On the hard tyres, Milo is turning up the wick in the desert. It's already hot enough. You don't need to do that. Whilst Milo's considering casserole season, here's another man who's about to casserole another man. Stark, on the medium tyres, round the outside of Dirkleton, has had to make up for lost time after that first lap excursion at the end of turn number 1, entering turn 2. This time, entering turn 1, he's made a position. Through on the Aston Martin, into P7. And now the chase for the biggest swimmer on planet Earth can commence. Oh no! Buck 57 with a 5-second time penalty for ignoring blue flags. Good grief, and I do feel like that was a bit harsh, actually, given the fact he was in the triple right-hander. And that is a dangerous place to try and let a leader of this race through. And oh my good God, he thinks about going into the pit lane, almost a kamikaze squirrel move towards the pit wall. He does stay out in the end, ships another 2 seconds to Maximus as a result. Thought about, well, potentially calling it a day there, as we are now a third of the way, pretty much, through this race. Actually, no, we are not, because 19 laps is a third of the way through this race. And once Timalele gets to the end of this lap, he will be there. 4.5 seconds the gap between Milo and Timalele. Let's see if that gap continues to be chipped away at by the championship leader. No, my husband! J-Lane's through. He's gone down the inside. And now is trying to get an Aston Martin man under his spell. Goes for a slightly narrower line. This is what I'm talking about. Use the narrow line. Think about putting off your opponent slightly. Look at the difference the new tyres has. Then just deploy out of this corner. Think about a dive to the inside if you're feeling brave. Not in this case. But a slide from Dirkleton puts J-Lane out of kilter slightly. And he's going to have to wait probably until the DRS straight again. But it's not all bad. It is all bad for Jamie Tarquin. Currently, though, he's got a time penalty for exceeding the track limits. Oh, dear. Timalele then crossing the line. It will be a third of the way through this race. And Vulcan, right on that particular point, has got, another time penalty. Another time penalty. Meanwhile, here's Jimothy Lane. He's almost pushing Dirkleton through the triple left-hander. I meant the triple right-hander. Geography wasn't a strong subject for me, let me tell you. DRS will be open. Flappage engaged. And it is a... What on earth happened there? I don't actually know. Oh, J-Lane's left the session. That's what's happened. Oh, no. As you can see, his input's very AI-like. I thought, what on earth was that particular weave in the start-finish straight? But he's going down the inside. He's waiting. He's not even waiting around. His AI's probably tried to use battery. Let his AI cook. He's fighting Dirkleton here on the new tyres. Go on, son. Good grief. Terziak keeping up with Milo, though. J-Lane has rejoined the session, ladies and gentlemen. It is not over. Luckily, the AI will drive inch perfectly. Shouldn't make any mistakes. He can take back control at the next possible opportunity. Regain control of his landship. And hope that his car hasn't scarpered on him. I'm sure he's back in control now. Let's see what his inputs are looking like. The answer is definitely yes. The J-Lane we know and love has returned. Terziak has not overtaken Mr. Milo. Milo actually failing to make inroads on Timalele. And I'm pretty sure that was J-Lane's AI that made that correction. Almost a stupendous swapperoo. However, this time there will be no such histrionics. DRS open. Through goes the Alfa Romeo driver. And now he can continue where he left off from before. Through into turn 1. And the Alfa Romeo man makes his way into P8. And now we shall find out exactly what progress he can continue to make as my husband has pit. Magico has entered the pit lane. What tyres is he on? That's soft tyres. Am I looking at that correctly? Actually, no, it's not. It's mediums. Never mind. I can't read. Buck57 might have been given a time penalty for ignoring blue flags, but he's now here to make a point. And that is that he's significantly faster. He now dives into the pit lane. And, well, there's actually a point for fastest lap up for grabs. No, he retires. Buck57 is out of the Qatar Grand Prix. And there is an exasperated sigh of despair around Losail. You can't actually hear it, but F1 has an agenda. Either way, he's out. And there's no consolation as to whatever I say. Made the mistake, hit the wall, pit, got the blue flags penalty, which I felt was a Codemasters moment. Jamie Tarquin's got another 3-second time penalty. Soon he'll be finishing in P11 if he's not careful. The top three have kept their nose very clean, as has J-Lane, as has Dirkleton, and as has my husband, as Buck57 exits the pit lane. And aliens were at work there, because had they not used their, well, what was it, projector beam, Tractor beam, that's the one. I know what aliens use. He's left the session. He has been tractor beamed away. The aliens have claimed Buck 57. And that is not good news. Meanwhile, it's still half-time at the Dusseldorf Arena between France and Austria. 1-0 to Les Blues. Timalele rounds the final corner to enter lap number 22, leading by nearly 6 seconds in this Grand Prix. And Jambil Tarquin is pitting. Interesting. So, the first of the top 4 leading group to pull the trigger. And Maximus has another 3-second time penalty to his name. I have no idea how many you can accrue before the game says, you pillock, you're disqualified. But I imagine it's actually quite a lot. So, and I don't want anyone to test that theory. So let's get back to the action. 6 people without time penalties, one of which is this man. Buck 20 moves up into P4. Jamie Tarquin will exit the pit lane. And it will be behind J-Lane, although J-Lane does have significantly older tyres. How much older tyres, you might be asking? The answer is, he has 8 laps older tyres than Jamie Tarquin, which round Qatar is an eternity's worth of time. Jamie Tarquin, like I say, has to be smart here. Can't afford to go for a banzai move. It is 100% race, but if we do somehow manage to go the entire race without a safety car, then, well, to be a banzai driver is not the best play. Not making a huge impression so far, however, I'm sure. Just coaxing the tyres into this event now as Milo pits. The McLaren man enters pit row, as does Terziak. They are looking to undercut Timalele. And Tim could actually, genuinely, be going for a one-stop here. A one-stop round the set. That would be remarkable stuff. No doubting at all it's possible. I have absolutely zero doubt whatsoever. Terziak, guaranteed 2-stop. Milo, pretty much also guaranteed a 2-stop. Because if you pit that early, mediums are not going to make 34 laps. Here comes J-Lane down the main straight, getting past Stark. What is his progress going to be like? Because Jamie Tarquin also going to go through on the Williams driver. Stark loses 2 positions in a single straight, but that might be down to the fact he's on 22-lap old tyres, yet to pit. And those ahead of him are fresh as a daisy. As Jamie Tarquin now looking for a move, going round the outside of J-Lane. That will be a delightful move if he can get it done. Sweeping through goes the Aston Martin driver. And I'll tell you what, I haven't had many battles to talk about this race, but that was very neat from Jambil. Fair play to you. Orchestrated and architected to near perfection from the Aston Martin driver. If you're asking me how that could have been more perfect, the answer is I don't know. Timalele pulls the trigger as well. He is into the pit lane. I would assume the hard tyres would go on to split the strategy. There's no reason why it shouldn't, but he's not. He's going to go for that 2-stop. As the others behind him are guaranteed to also have that 2-stop. He thought, you know what, I might as well join them. Might as well join them. Maybe go for that fastest lap point for myself. Gain even more points out of this event. And with the way he's driving so far, we can almost put money on him winning this race. It's immense. Big Swimmer and Buck 20 can't separate them. They're like conjoined twins, except conjoined twins aren't legally allowed to drive a Formula 1 car. So what's that about? Jamie Tarquin, speaking of fastest lap, he's just set one. 1 minute 25.5 on the medium tyres. That is a pretty impressive lap by all accounts. As Maximus gets past Stark because he's in the pit lane. Onto a fresh set of the medium tyres he goes. He's also committing to the 2-stop. Buck 20. Did he start on the hard... Hang on. Did he have 2 sets of hards? Was that just me? There's fighting between him and Big Sam going on, though. Big Sam looking to try and be alongside during that second corner. Has got great momentum out of this one, though. And could potentially go for a move. Use some ERS. Go to the inside. Think about it, but not bite the bullet on that particular occasion. And Jambil Tarquin is the one piling the most pressure because he's going for Terziak's P3. Granted, the matter of fact is, it does come down to him having about 16 million hours worth of penalties. But that aside, well, you never know. He did get past J-Lane easily, but J-Lane, crucially, easily getting away from Dirkleton. You have a pretty good illustration of just how important and crucial new tyres are around this track, and how much of a profound effect they have. But J-Lane doing well as Milo sets the fastest lap. Make that Jamie Tarquin with a 1 minute 24 now. We're breaching the 1 minute 25 barrier. It's great to see. And let the times continue to tumble. Lap number 25 of the Qatar Grand Prix. We are almost halfway through this contest. And your leader currently is Sir German Timalele from the McLaren man of Milo. What was a gap of 6 seconds, now down to 3.9. But we'll see what the ebbs and flows, especially around this particular circuit, are looking like as we transpire. Terziak is having pressure applied by Jamie Tarquin, although he himself is trying to get in DRS of Milo to protect himself. J-Lane in a very neat P5. Then it's Dirkleton in 6th, with Maximus in 7th, Vulcan in 8th, Buck 29th, Big Swimmer in 10th, and Magico, who maybe would have felt he was down and out at some stage, is only 3.5 seconds behind Big Swimmer. And that really is pretty nice. Although Stark is entering into this particular scrap at a rate of knots. 3-car train up at the front. My nose is bunging up. No thank you to hay fever. When I come to power, every single treat is gone. Greenpeace might say it saves the planet. I don't care. My eyes will be preserved. Jamie Tarquin with yet another fastest lap. A double dosage of DRS once again, propelling him to the extra 3 points. As lap number 26 has been entered. Did it give permission? Well, it's season 16, so legally it could do. I don't know why I say these things, but Stark has DRS, and you can imagine with 4 laps, fresher tyres, it's going to be absolutely academic, and it is sweeping back to the racing line. Through goes one of the Williams sisters. They've pulled their stockings all the way up, and they are through into P11. Excellent. Meanwhile, Big Swimmer and Buck 20's squabble has not yet been settled. Half a second between the two of them. Now make that 3 tenths because it's a great exit from Big Swimmer. Watching the battle between Maximus and Dirkleton as well. 13 lap fresher tyres on the Haas car. As Dirkleton's got a penalty. I completely missed that. My apologies. That only leaves 5 drivers yet to get a time penalty in this race. And if they can get all the way through this race without getting a 3-second time penalty, they will get an honorary award for being a clean boy. Through the penultimate corner goes the Haas car. The American dream, the hopes of the USA, and the hopes of kilometre fans everywhere rest on the Irish driver. With DRS wide open and only 2 tenths behind, it's surely going to be an easy move. Dirkleton moves off the racing line. Maximus will happily keep that and accept that invitation as through he goes, and it's a party in P6 for the American team. And now we see what else is happening. Vulcan is having pressure applied once again. I feel like it's deja vu. Pinch me. Vulcan versus Big Sam and Buck 20 once again in a 3-car train. J-Lane 10 seconds off the leading pack. But I'll tell you what, he's driving well. You can't fault him. He's driving well out there. As we see one of the most obstructive camera angles I've ever seen in my life. But through he goes on. He's kept it clean, and it's going to keep him in the potential running of this race. And there's still time for safety cars yet, as we now enter pretty much halfway through the fulcrum point of this fascinating spectacle round the sail. Terziak is going for 2nd place. Through down the inside of Milo with the DRS assistance. The Flying Scotsman chuggers his way into P2. Put that on a train set. because he's driving like he's on rails. Underneath the Rolex sponsorship, his time on his side. Milo feinting to that inside line. Thinking about a potential move. Nothing doing. It's Jamie Tarquin now applying the pressure. Potentially could have looked to the inside as Buck 20 gets through on Vulcan. Big Sam gets through on Vulcan. It's double despair for the Alfa Romeo driver, as he gets shuffled down a couple of places on this grid. And into P10 he goes. The race sort of petering out a little bit now. Milo hasn't had the pace of Terziak and even of Jamie Tarquin in this stint. Gap was at 3.9 seconds. We'll see what Terziak can do in comparison. Of course, the pole sitter at this Qatar Grand Prix, as Milo has a time penalty. So that leaves only three drivers that are in the running for the award for being a clean boy. And of course, if they all get time penalties this race, no one gets the honorary award. Which is sad, but equally justified. Darkleton, by the way, is keeping up with Maximus. I've just noticed this. On 13-lap older tyres, 27 laps on the hard tyres, and yet he's still able to keep up. That is quite remarkable, and with DRS, he's going to protect himself from Buck 20 and Big Sam, even if just a little bit. He's still going to be able to protect himself. Stark, though, is going to look for a move on Vulcan. The overtakes are coming in thick and fast with the contra strategies, the alternative strategies. Dive bombs galore. As down the inside goes Stark, Vulcan attempts to hold the momentum and try and use that superior momentum around the outside. Maximus has had a problem. A spin. Dirkleton had just got through. No idea if he dropped it on his own. Send me a clip. Even if it's embarrassing, I want to see that again. And that means Magico, propelled off the back of the grid. He is now into P11. He's exuding positivity and vibes. And romance, because he's my husband. Up at the front, Timalele with a 5.5 second gap, remaining relatively even for the time being. We're on to lap number 30 of this race. Good grief. We are properly going for it here. By the way, the Euros game is still going on, and it's still only 1-0 to France. Ousmane Dembele has just been booked. Mbappe won the ball from 50 yards, raced towards it, tried to curl it in from 20 yards, and he missed. He said, how did Kylian Mbappe miss? Well, no football player is perfect, that's why. I forgot footballers are supposed to be robots nowadays. Can't miss at all now. So, oh no! Maximus is retired. He's only in the pit lane, though. There's no drama. If you thought you were going to see drama, potentially an avenue back into this race, think again. Dirkleton has lost 1, 2, 3 positions, though. Maybe in the space of a single straight. As Big Sam's up into P6, swimming and slipping and sliding his way through the field. Buck 20 into P7, Stark into P8, and given how his race started, to be in this position is actually pretty damn impressive. You've got to give him his flowers. Terziak catching up a couple of temps on this lap. Nothing huge. Timalele is going to have to be a little bit careful as Maximus exits the pit lane. Hopefully not getting crossed up on the Haas car, unless the aliens tractor beam him into the path of the Mercedes man. Which hasn't happened, so let's see what happens with Terziak and Milo, who both of them are getting away from Jamble Tarquin. As Maximus is on the racing line, that's going to get very confusing. Milo's just gone round the outside, using the retiring car. That is Mika Hakkinen-esque. That is absolutely wonderful, and even more poetry in motion. He's in the McLaren as well. Terziak didn't know which way to go. I don't blame him, but Milo played that to perfection. Swept round the outside. The superior momentum in the McLaren man's favour. And that is, for lack of a better term, a monumental overtake. McLaren aren't finished there, though. Buck 20 is trying to go round the outside of another man. Big Sam's the one here for the taking. However, it's a stout defence from the AlphaTauri driver. And Stark's now on the back of the McLaren man. The last time I did Qatar, I didn't get to commentate the full race for reasons. I explained why. It was actually quite traumatizing. But anyway, P6, Big Sam. P7 is still buck 20. Stark is piling on the pressure, though. And now Dirkleton is going to potentially fall foul to Vulcan. In fact, let me rephrase that. He will fall foul to Vulcan. And did I say only 3 people were in the running? I apologise. It's 4 people. Tim, Terziak, J-Lane, and my husband could all potentially get awards for being a clean boy. Maximus just left the session after grovelling hilariously. Sorry, hang on. Paul here says that bad miss from Mbappe won't be tolerated when he gets to Real Madrid. Okay, basement dweller Paul. I'm sure you could do better. Buck 20's up to P6. Stark's now going for P6, though. Down the inside. DRS, double moves. It's all happening today. Now we're getting some proper racing. Stark round the outside. Does what Buck 20 couldn't do on the previous lap. And Big Sam is looking very dangerous indeed. Buck 20 almost pushing Stark down towards the right-hander. A little bit of cheeky bump drafting there. Good grief. Into the left-hander we go. 3-car trains developing in this particular race. And Magico could be making the latest one, a hat-trick of triple threats. Consulting of Terziak, Milo and Jamie Tarquin. Buck 20, Big Sam and Stark. I almost listed the wrong person, my apologies, because Dirk starts the next one after that with Vulcan. Milo's back up into P2, using the DRS assistance down the inside. Both are just going to use each other as a little bit of a horse and cart if they can. However, with a 3-second time penalty. And, well, Buck 20's got another 3-second time penalty as well. So, I mean, he wasn't going to win the Clean Boy Award anyway now, but he's a dirty dog. And it's the most barbaric of biscuits the McLaren man is receiving, given that situation. This team will not be happy with his creative interpretation of the white lines. Meanwhile, Stark and Buck 20 squabble look to not have been settled. Big Sam's kind of dropped off the back of it a little bit. Buck 20 going for some interesting alternative lines, looking for a little bit of momentum. Nothing doing, though. I'll tell you what we will do, though, since we haven't consulted him in a while. There is another 3-car train. Dirkleton, Vulcan and Magico have all arrived on the scene now. So if Magico thought he was going to stay in no man's land and out of the battles, he is very much mistaken. It's now his time to shine, and he is my husband. He is always shining. Don't you dare try and bring our extracurricular activities into this. Vulcan's trying to go down the inside. That almost got very fruity. Magico could have something to say about that. As Vulcan actually goes down the inside. That's a lovely little move there. No idea where the momentum from Dirk went, but fair play to Vulcan. And now Magico's the one on the attack. Here's what I was going to do, though. We're going to watch Timalele for a little bit. I'm going to put it in silence. You can just listen to the engine and appreciate this man's driving. Has had no penalties at all. No hiccups whatsoever. Ever since he took the lead, there's been no looking back whatsoever. He's driven an absolutely peerless race, and you can enjoy all of the onboard footage right now. Lap number 35. What great driving. However, J-Lane has pulled the trigger. Probably for his final pit stop of the race on lap number 35. It's going to be mediums for the next 22 rounds of the Losail circuit, all the way to the end. Magico is going for a move on Dirkleton, though. Round the outside. Go on, husband. Do the work. I appreciate you, Sunshine, as he has the inside line against the Aston Martin. Exudes depression. More like exudes absolutely ravishing racecraft. Mr. Magico, very nicely done. Dirkleton, you gotta pit soon. Like, I'm genuinely, you have to pit soon. This is ridiculous now. Milo is pulling the trigger, the first of the leaders to do so. And Terziak and Jamie Tarquin will not follow him in this time. That's a very short stint on the medium tyres. And, well, perhaps trying something a little bit different, as onto another set of medium tyres he goes. That'll be his last stop in this particular race. So let's see what the McLaren team are cooking here. If they're in fact cooking. That's the real question. We shall soon find out. Meanwhile, what is happening further down the field? Stark in P5 has got a gap to Buck 20 in P6. Big Sam in a bit of a no man's land. Magico, though, has a great chance of overtaking Vulcan with DRS assistance. On board with the Mercedes driver, using the battery. So actually, it's a little bit futile, although he's catching hugely. He's gaining to the outside he goes. Surely sweeping round the outside. He's going to try it to the best of his ability. And I'll tell you what, he's going to execute as long as he gets it done into the second part of this complex. He's done absolutely brilliantly through there. My husband is up into P8, and that is delightful. He thought this race was done and dusted for him probably as Vulcan's gone wide. He's actually let through J-Lane. Not going to hold up his teammate on significantly fresher rubber. And now, attack must turn into defence for my husband. Jamie Tarquin into the pits meanwhile. Looking on the top left to see what tyres he's going to strap on. Meanwhile, it's all about J-Lane. Reeling in Magico like a Magikarp. If you see what I did there. No overtaking opportunities unless he's not going to go for it into the triple right. Surely not. Oh, surely he is. Magico's going to try and hold it round the outside. He's held it brilliantly, actually. All things considered, credit where credit is due. Balls of steel from that man and didn't even exceed track limits. It's quality racing from the pair of them. J-Lane trying to go down the inside. That was so close to contact. Good grief, no holds barred from the Alfa Romeo driver, but now DRS wide open, and through he goes into P7. A stout defence and great racecraft from my husband, but there was only so much he could do to hold off the charging Alfa Romeo man of Jimothy Lane. And as long as he keeps this up, he's going to find himself in a very good scoring position. So fair play to him. Jamie Tarquin onto the medium tyres. There's the answer to that particular query. See what his pace is. 1 lap fresher than Milo. Milo, however, now has a 2.2 second buffer to Jamie Tarquin. France are turning up the pressure. And Kylian Mbappe is being the ultimate playmaker. He's carving up the Austria team. He's trying to, anyway. He just needs his teammates to execute the end product, but he's apparently doing everything he needs to do. Jamie Tarquin doing everything he needs to do to get 1 million seconds worth of penalties, because he's got another 3 seconds. Still 4 people that could receive the Clean Boy Award. In fact, that will receive the Clean Boy Award at this particular stage. Vulcan has been re-overtaken, by the way, by Dirkleton, despite being on 36 lap old hards. He's actually done very well. Now he finally pulls the trigger. The Aston Martin, I mean, I've got to applaud the stint. 36 laps on the hards is no mean feat, especially at Qatar. But he's done well, and it will be, I imagine, medium tyres. If not, he's just going to go full send on the softs, because why not? Big Sam with another 3-second time penalty. Buck 20 moves off the back of the grid. Indeed, it is the medium tyres. Out into the race goes the Aston Martin driver. There is still plenty to play for. The one stop Some didn't believe it could cook. However, Dirkleton does. But he's about to be lapped. Here comes Timalele. Cue the Jaws music. He's going to probably... Well, I thought he was going to go around the outside, but no, he does not. Although he might well want to get a move on, given that... Well, actually, Dirkleton lets him through very, very well there. No risk of a blue flag penalty here, ladies and gentlemen. Not from this Aston Martin driver, anyway. Gaps have all equalised out, to be honest. Timalele 8.2 ahead of Terziak. Milo has set the fastest lap of the race, half a second quicker than anything we've had so far. But crucially, he's had 3 laps on those fresh tyres. Tim and Terziak, of course, have had 2 sets of mediums. I imagine going for softs at the end of this race. Milo may, well, with the undercut, could get track position here. You never know. It could happen. He's doing his best. Jamie Tarquin in 4th. He's got very decent pace. Not enough to reel in Milo. No reeling in the big fish. Oh, guys, this is interesting. While the on-screen action might have petered out, although Buck 20 is catching Vulcan at a significant rate. As Jamie Tarquin gets another 3-second time penalty. Terziak into the pit lane, though. And we'll have 3 laps younger tyres than those around him. Does he go hards or does he go softs? The answer is, it's the red wall tyre. He's going softs to the end of this race. Pit delta around here is around 24 seconds, I'm tempted to say. I think it is. But the time you make up on the new tyres can easily be overcome on a fresh set of boots that are only a couple of laps, maybe even a few laps younger. As we shall now demonstrate, as Buck 20 has got past Vulcan, out of the left-hander, and into the sweeping triple right, he's through into P9. Still a few people to pit in this race. J-Lane's not one of them. He's up into P7. Stark and Co. ahead of him, being Big Sam, do have to pit. And he will reclaim P5 in this race. And that'll be very good for him. Like I say, it's been a tumultuous start of the season. Looking to make amends, and he's certainly doing so at the moment. Terziak then in P4. Fresh soft tyres on his wagon. And let's see what kind of an impression he can make. Hopefully, it's a good one. Because it could be a very, very long stint. Otherwise, as I was saying though, as this race is sort of equalised, this is the most interesting thing here in the chat from a person called Karal who's written in hieroglyphics. They say, best and cheap viewers on that link. Now, is this safe? You're right, yes it is. I'll see you when I have 500 viewers. I'm kidding, of course. Terziak then, 3.3 seconds the gap. Let's see what he can do. But not before Buck 20 begins to reel in my husband. That's not cool, man. He's my husband. We're betrothed. You're not trying to steal my man. Piss off. Don't think anyone can say that on an official broadcast, but I have. Just, I'm very passionate about my relationship, okay? Buck 20's got another 3-second time penalty, though. And he's very good at adding time onto things. Just like me. DRS Open, though, and the profound effects of new tyres, well, the results are evident in front of your very eyes. As Buck 20, DRS Open, might have absolutely no electrical energy to use, but he has a lot of rubber at his disposal. And down the inside into P8 goes the McLaren driver. J-Lane is all over the back of Big Sam, though. Here he goes. Looked potentially to go down the inside. Very, very close to contact on the diffuser of the AlphaTauri. And all the while, Buck 20 is catching and catching. It's exactly what J-Lane doesn't need, is to be held up behind the AlphaTauri. On board with the Alfa Romeo driver into the left-hander. No frame rate drop here. He's again using the battery. Going to go down the inside at the triple right-hander. And this time there can be no doubting he's coming out on top on this one. As through goes the Alfa Romeo into P6. Big Sam will happily have a little bit of a DRS steal in that particular occasion. But J-Lane using those mediums to good advantage. And Big Sam actually doesn't need that DRS to be deployed. He's going to go into the pit lane and onto a fresh set of boots. J-Lane actually 13 seconds off start. Big Sam must have made a massive mistake. I was going to say there was no way Buck 20, as good of a driver as he is, there's no way he caught up that many seconds in so few laps. The answer is there's a reason why. And I've figured it out. So there you are. Into the pits comes Big Swimmer though, onto the soft tyres. Fastest lap pending. Time to find out. Terziak is using his softs to good use. Oh god, I'm like Will Buxton. But he's now within a second of Jamble Tarquin. And, well, time penalties would mean that he wouldn't be in P3 anyway, but Terziak is putting the cherry on top of that particular cake. And that cake looks so nice that Terziak is going to eat it. Hopefully not literally, though, because, well, it's not going to end well for him, as he does set the fastest lap again. Through he goes into P3. Timalele has made his final stop, and he is in P2, but crucially, on the soft tyres, and they're 7 laps younger. So Milo might be feeling a bit smug at the moment, but firstly, he has a time penalty, and secondly, he's on mediums, and thirdly, they're older, and fourthly, he's a bit screwed. Timalele somehow hasn't won a race this season of Blackout, unbelievably, despite his qualifying pace. That could all change today. And if I've cursed him, I can only apologise. Back to the Euros game, and it's still only 1-0. The France fans are chanting Giroud's name. Kante is apparently Willem's man of the match. The Dutch critiquing the French. I don't know how to feel about that. Says Mbappe has been very good, though, and he has indeed. Griezmann's been needing treatment. That's not ideal. Ralf Rangnick. Who remembers Ralf Rangnick? He managed Manchester United. Now manages Austria. Actually, not doing too badly against France, all things considered. That is 1.2 seconds gained in a single lap. That is DRS for Timalele. That is going to set him up perfectly. Firstly, for a fastest lap. And secondly, for this academic yet first-class postage stamp move down the inside of Milo, who, try as he might to defend, it will be to absolutely no avail whatsoever. A snapperoo of the rear end for good measure from the McLaren driver. And Timalele has daylight between himself and Milo in the night race. It's all kinds of confusing daytime analogies. But Timalele has made it crystal clear. He wants this win, and he wants the win convincingly. Magico is also pit, by the way. He's on a fresh set of the soft tyres. Back down into P11. However, we have seen what he can cook up with his racecraft at points in this race, and I've been very, very impressed. So, there is still all to play for with 13 laps to go. Vulcan pits off of the hard tyres. I think the final person that was yet to pit towards the end of this race was the Alfa Romeo man, and he's going to be exiting out onto the track in plumb last. It's not a case of pace. We saw he had great pace at the beginning of this particular contest. However, the tyres, the strategy, it's not been kind to him. Slam is playing PUBG. Where are you? Got to help your teammate Terziak. Timalele set the fastest lap of the race. It's a 23.3. That's ridiculous. And he's now 2 seconds ahead already. And worse news for the man in papaya. The man in scarlet is surging up to the back of him. My husband has already made up a place. Yes! Go on, exudes depression. Stand tall. Stark is also on a fresh set of soft tyres, and he's ended up in P7. Stark has a potentially open goal into P5 at the end of this race. Although he does have time penalties. How many remains to be seen, but he does have time penalties. It's 6 seconds worth of penalties. Might be a tall order either way. He gets in 3 seconds of buck 20. He's got P6 at least. So that's the thing I'm going to be checking. Jamie Tarquin has 12 seconds worth of penalties. Mental. Absolutely mental. The gaps again equalising out, so back to BBC Sport to see if anyone is cooking. The answer is no. No one has cooked. Austria could be serious dark horses here. Kept Mbappe very quiet and have a great young squad with few players who could be world beaters, says Rob from Stuttgart. This is on the evidence of the fact that Mbappe has apparently torn them a new one with every single play he's had. Which is quite interesting, but that's just what I've read. What do I know? Terziak, though, is in DRS range of Milo now. So the sinking feeling is only ever going to continue plummeting Milo's particular hopes as we enter into the final almost 10 laps of the Qatar Grand Prix. My nan is in goal for France, by the way. I'm so proud of her. What a legend. How about that? There's a yellow card. Christoph Baumgartner is booked for some dangerous play. That's probably what gives a yellow card anyway, so I'm not really surprised. So this is quite an interesting dynamic into the end of this race. J-Lane has no time penalties, but is being caught quite quickly by Buck 20. He has 9 seconds worth of penalties, though. Both of them are being caught hugely by Stark. He has 6 seconds worth of time penalties, but at the rate he's catching, he could actually bridge that gap. Hopefully, without the tyres spontaneously combusting on him. But that is a plan nonetheless. Magico is catching hand over fist to Dirkleton, who has a 3-second time penalty himself. So there is still a chance at P9, nay, even better, depending on what his soft tyre pace is like. Vulcan... I'm really sorry, I have no consolation, mate. I'm so sorry. Terziak, though, has DRS. It's convincing. And, well, DRS wide open. Maximum flappage results in a very, very happy time. Terziak, through he goes, into P2. On the front row, he ends up like he was at the end of qualifying. However, he is down from that first position, which he, well, so craftily got at the end of qualifying. Hasn't quite gone his way in the race, but I don't think he'll be too disgruntled with a P2 at the end of this contest. They're saying it was no need for a yellow card, says Matthew Upson, former England defender. What did he win with England? I'm going to list it for you now. So back to the race. Milo is half a second behind Terziak as they enter into the left-hander. Magico, though, is cooking. Out of the penultimate corner. Has he saved a bit of battery? The answer is he's got a little bit of battery. Dirkleton has more battery, though. Let's see what Magico can do. DRS, notoriously extremely powerful round this track. Dirkleton not using any battery. He thinks resistance is futile. And I'll tell you what, when it's my husband behind the wheel, resistance is always futile. DRS and assistance and all of the other shebang. He is through into P9 and is within 6 seconds of Big Swimmer up ahead. And if he continues to get a move on, well, there's no reason why he can't overtake him on track as well. And that would get very tasty indeed. Milo keeping up with Terziak actually quite well so far. Both Tim and Terziak keeping about an equidistant gap for the time being. 5.6 seconds is the advantage. As we're into lap number 48. 9 laps to go of this race. And Magico is outside of a second of Dirkleton already. Stark with another 3-second time penalty. That muddies the waters ever so slightly for him. Camavinga. It's become scrappy. There will be tension for the French, says John Murray on 5 Live. Despite the fact that their most recent announcement is Camavinga cuts the ball back for Marcus Thuram, who fires the ball at the Austria goal, but it's straight at the keeper. Sounds like France are applying the pressure to me, but I'm just saying, apparently, if there's a narrative involved, I'm sorry, but that's what you're painting for me right now. What I was going to say is Buck 20 is through on J-Lane into P5. However, with how powerful the slipstream is, and the fact he's got 9 seconds worth of penalties, if he manages to make up 9 seconds, then fair play to him, but at the moment, I have my doubts. Stark, though, is not going to want to be waiting around behind the Alfa Romeo car on significantly fresher softs versus, well, mediums that need resuscitating. Stark trying to go down the inside, which will turn to the outside line through this left-hander. Keeps the nose in there. J-Lane leaves the space for him, and he's got a 3-second time penalty. He is excluded from my Clean Boy Award. And then there were 3. Timalele, Terziak, and Milo must have made... Oh, Milo's pit. That is quite interesting, actually. Why is he's pit? Well, maybe deciding on the fastest lap points are more worth it. Either way, there's the tyre strategies. He's got 12 lap younger softs. And he's also got significantly less time penalties, as we can see. If he's within 9 seconds of Jamie Tarquin by the end of this, it's going to be very nice indeed. Stark down the inside of J-Lane. It's another move being made, and through into P6 he goes. Now J-Lane has to stay within 6 seconds of the pair of them. Still, I think to finish P7, in the grand scheme of things, given his start to the season, he will not be too displeased whatsoever. Really, it's been a solid drive. But it proves that in a 100% race, Qatar can be quite the strategic gremlin. Or the strategic saviour for some people. Magico doing a very decent job indeed to stick within 6 seconds of Big Swimmer, who's on 1 lap older softs. But he's doing well to keep within it, but Dirkleton is keeping him quite honest at the moment. Surely he'll try and look to get a little bit of a move on. We'll see what Dirkleton's battery is like. About the same as Mr. Magico's. Still, the soft tyres have superior traction. The evidence is right there in front of your retinas. Look at that. 2 tenths gain just on the exit of that left-hander hairpin. Now we'll see if he can do anything through this left. Hits the late apex, and look at 2 tenths gained at the apex, but then the exit's not ideal. And he loses all that time again. Qatar's such an ebbing and flowing track. Mbappe has been faultless. Apparently, 82 people don't agree with that, according to BBC Sport. I'm sure Mbappe is devastated. Mbappe nutmegged Lima, and then Lima put his hand to Mbappe's face. Oh well, what can you do? N'Golo Kante doing N'Golo Kante things and being amazing. Why we sold him, I will never forgive my club. Stark has got past Buck 20. and will at least finish ahead of him. However, he has 7 laps to create a 6-second buffer between himself and Jimothy Lane. Which, given he has 9 lap younger softs to boot, surely is possible. Surely it's possible. You'd have to think it is. But you never know. That's the joy of Blackout. Miller has already gained 4 seconds. And what is his lap time going to be looking like as he exits the final corner? Will it be our fastest lap of the Grand Prix for Mr. Milo? Yes, it is. Almost breaching the 1 minute 22 barrier. But not to be. 13 thousandths separates Milo from that and eternal fastest lap glory. That gap is eroding exponentially between him and Jamie Tarquin. You blink and it's a second gained. It's ridiculous how much fresh tyres makes a difference at this track. If Miller was really cooked, you could get P2 in this race. You could do it. Go on, son. What's happening further back in other news? Dirkleton has DRS, but absolutely no battery whatsoever, and no straight line speed. I can only assume he's running slightly higher rear wing because, well, given I was Magico's teammate last year, I know what rear wing he's using. But anywho, Magico keeps the position for now, and we will have to continue speculating on whether Dirkleton actually is running higher wings than Magico. Also could be a fact that he has less battery. That's also entirely possible. There's been a collision for Mbappe. Not that he's in the Blackout Racing League. But there you go. Apparently, Deschamps wants to change him and substitute him. That's probably a good idea to preserve by far your star player on the French team. Austria looking dangerous on the counter. The race sort of equalising out now. We have just over 5 tours of the Losail circuit to go. And Timalele is your race leader with a gap of 9 seconds to his next closest competitor, Terziak. Then it's Jamie Tarquin, followed by Milo, followed by Stark, who has managed to get out of the 6-second buffer. Of J-Lane. And doesn't need to do anything in terms of the gap between himself and Buck 20. So that is great news. Let's see what penalties are involved. That's the situation. Buck 20 is almost out of range of J-Lane. Almost, but not quite. Both Magico and Dirkleton, by the way, are catching Big Sam. And quite quickly now. Gap now at 4.8 seconds. Comfortably within the 6-second barrier, which is what Magico needs to claim P8 in this Grand Prix. Okay, Mbappe's got... Okay, I don't even know what's going on anymore. Who knows? But anyway. Look at that graceful man. Through the left-hander he goes. Makes it look effortless in that Mercedes car. France are furious. Oh, I see. They wanted to make the sub and then Mbappe forced the sub, but he got booked anyway. Right. Nice refereeing. Anywho. Into the right-hander, Timalele breaches the 10-second interval between himself and Terziak. Still has no track limit time penalties. What a news. What a piece of news. Through into the right-hander we go, and then into the left. It's really riveting stuff around here. It's been a couple of decent races, though, in Formula 1's time, as Milo gets past Jamie Tarquin because Jamble is going onto the soft tyres. And now, he's going to try and go for a fastest lap, maybe. All the fastest laps to come out with just 3 laps to go. Weaving about to warm up the tyres. Perhaps using a bit more tyre wear than is necessary, but who am I to judge? Stark gets a move on here. He can actually be within 3 seconds of Jamie Tarquin. He can get P4 in this race. After the start of the race he had. Woo! No, I guess it probably won't happen. Anyway, Dirkleton and Magico are fighting with DRS. Through goes Dirkleton, but I think Magico won't have any problems at all in just sitting behind him now. Using the DRS, staying within that 6-second buffer to Big Sam. And claiming potentially even more points. There's more news on the horizon. Willems says it's absurd refereeing. I agree based on what I've read, but Matthew Upson... Well, clearly people don't like Mbappe, according to BBC Sport. I wonder why. I wonder why. Anyway. 11.2 seconds is now the gap between Timalele and Terziak. Good grief. Tim has driven a peerless race. There's no other way of putting it. He has driven absolutely exceptionally the entire time. You cannot fault this man. Would it have been different if Thanasi was here? Maybe. Would there have been more pressure applied? Maybe. Will we never know? Yes, we will never know. Doesn't even matter in this case. There's no point in adding what-ifs. As a famous man once said, if my grandma had wheels, it would have been a bicycle. And Timalele certainly isn't riding a bicycle. He's driving a Formula 1 car, and he's doing it very, very well indeed. Like I say, hasn't won a race in Season 16 so far, despite how good his qualifying pace has been. Despite how quick he's been in the races, it just has not gone his way for whatever reason. Potentially coming up to lap his teammate and Dirkleton for good measure. In what has been a dominant display from St. German. Has played the strategy to perfection. Terziak Maybe we'll feel like he could have done more at points, but I think he won't be too disgruntled at all with P2. Jamie Tarquin through the final corner. He goes on a fastest lap charge. Has he been able to do it at Losail? No. No, he hasn't, unless he did it on the lap before, but I can't read, so... I'll find out after the race. I don't think he did it, though, and based on his battery consumption, I think that was his attempt, and it did not go to plan. So that is an extra 3 points for Milo, regardless. Championship leader, I think, will retain his championship lead, but there are plenty of takers. Plenty of people waiting in the wings. To have a grab and have a snap at his gauntlet as Magico lets through Timalele, his teammate, to give him not only a helping hand of DRS, but also to just save him some time and hassle of getting involved and maybe even getting a blue flag penalty. He's negated that potential chance, and so he can get on his merry way and come home in a respectable P8. 3 people so far on the last lap of this race will receive the Clean Boy Award. The gaps have stayed pretty stable, but one man has risen, divided and conquered this entire field here in the desert of Losail in Qatar, and it's Timalele. What a staggering race he's had as he slides about. And actually, correct me if I'm wrong, if he laps these two, he might be actually screwing over his teammate here. Because Magic goes to finish within 6 seconds of Big Sam. If Timalele crosses the line ahead of those two, Big Sam will get another lap and he'll finish P8. Magico will only get P9. That's a thing to consider. But anyway, let's ignore that for a second. Timalele has driven tremendously, and that in itself would be an understatement. Big Sam even is letting through Timalele. So there goes that potential thing. I thought he actually would have stayed ahead and given himself that chance. Timalele took the chance of victory at the first opportunity and has never let it go. He wins the Qatar Grand Prix in absolutely dominant fashion. It's a superlative drive from the Silver Arrows man. Terziak, there he is in the background. Comes across the line. That's disgusting. But he claims P2, and that is excellent. Milo will claim yet another podium in this season. Hasn't finished off the podium once, I think, in these races. Actually, no, he has. He finished off it in Bahrain. But he keeps his podium streak alive. It's 4 podiums on the bounce. 3 victories and the 3rd place. Jamie Tarquin will be next across the line to claim P4. And after what has been a tumultuous start, it's the fastest lap of the race for Jamie Tarquin. And that brings a little crumb of comfort for the Aston Martin man. Fastest lap and P4 has not been the easiest of starts to a blackout season, but he's done well there. 4th place and 3 extra points as Buck20 gets another 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. J-Lane will claim P7. You saw the order behind Timalele because they were all lapped. But that is it. 100% race done. My voice has survived. The drivers, most of them have survived. No safety cars in the 100% race is absolutely incredible. Goodness gracious me. That is a script I did not see itself fulfilling, but I'll tell you what, it's fulfilled itself very, very nicely. The king of the desert. It's Timalele. The German driver lifts the trophy to the skies. It's his first win of season 16. And now they can spray their Sprite Zero. Look at that. Men only want one thing, and it's disgusting. And that's to spray Sprite Zero on the top step of the podium. Or in any of the podium positions, really. Clinking their bottles of sweet nothing. But ladies and gentlemen, that completes a 100% race around Qatar. And good grief. Was that a marathon? Was that a marathon? Timalele is your winner. Terziak, the Flying Scotsman in P2. Mr. Consistent Milo in P3. Jamie Tarquin with fastest lap in P4. Stark recovers to 5th. Amazing job from the Williams driver. Absolutely amazing. J-Lane P6. Very nicely done. Buck 20 in 7th. My husband finishes 8th. What a legend. Durkleton 9th. Big Sam rounds out the top 10. Vulcan in P11. Maximus and Buck 57 failed to score points. And that will do it, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes the sexy standby man. Magico says, that was boring. And at times, I presume it probably would have felt like it. However, some of your moves, mate, that spiced up my life very nicely indeed. And I'm very happy. You can now change your name from Exudes Depression to the Overtake Overlord. Because that was very nice to watch. Absolute entertainment. You love to see it. There was ebbs and flows to that race. Probably wasn't as entertaining of a spectacle. Yes, there weren't safety cars. Yes, there weren't as many overtakes as some probably would have hoped for. However, there's so much more to this motor race than that. There's all the strategy that goes on. There's all of the calculations in terms of doing 2 stops or 3 stops, how hard you push your tyres, how much care you take of preserving your tyres. It's full time, meanwhile, that the Dusseldorf Arena, France have won their first game of the Euros, albeit France didn't score it. Austria have a scorer on the board who will now claim their spot on the top scorers list. It's Wober for France, who now will get his job application for Woburn Safari Park. Magico says, what happened in the race? Tim won, dominantly, actually. Tim won completely. Like, it wasn't even close. Terziak got 2nd, Milo got 3rd. There was a couple of moments for Buck 57, who hit the wall at the final corner on the inside. Then got a 5-second penalty for ignoring blue flags at a point where letting someone through is suicidal. So he rage retired, and I don't blame him. Maximus also retired out of the race. That was only the retirees. And then we had, basically, a strategy game from there. Stark recovering from the back of the grid, made his way back into P5, which is exceptional work. Stark genuinely actually could be my, other than Timalele, obviously, because he just absolutely gazumped everybody. Stark might well be my driver of the day, apart from my husband, obviously, because he's my husband, and I'm not biased, but he is my husband. A drink of water, then. My throat actually survived quite well during that. Survived better than a normal week of blackout, which is rather unbelievable. So there you are. That means Milo will still hold the lead of the Drivers' Championship. However, there are plenty of heavy hitters waiting in the wings to slice and dice their way into the top positions. Timalele and Terziak are on the move. And when Thanasi returns, whenever he returns, well, it could get interesting. It was double points. Ooh. Ooh, that's interesting. Well, does that mean, if that means it's 6 points for fastest lap, then Jamie Tarquin's just garnered himself, crikey, 40 points. But Timalele has got himself 60. 60 points. That is pretty crazy. Goodness me. 60 points for him. That would mean it's 48 for Terziak. Oh, it was double point. Oh, of course it was. Oh, you're quite right. I thought you meant double points full stop. I was like, Jesus Christ. Yes, you're quite right. Double points for you versus Red. Oh, for constructors as well. Yes. Well, I think you were leading the constructors anyway after the end of although I think it might have been quite close. Maybe not. Can't remember. I think you probably are leading the constructors at the end of this week, though. Not entirely sure. Don't quote me on that. But it could be interesting. I've been told to join a Discord channel. Which one? I don't know. Alright, alright, alright. I'm going to be barking at the postman. That's what I'm going to be doing. Speedy Goncalves. And here he is. Hello. Exudes depression. Hello, my friend. Well, I will agree with... Listen, I will agree with you. It was quite a neutered race. Let's be honest here. But I had fun. I had fun watching your little battle, particularly with Vulcan and Durkleton. Slaloming around the outside. It was great fun.
I hate Qatar. I'm not the fastest on it, so I was just like, no. I think well enough to get lapped to the last lap, but no, I'm still disappointed I got lapped on the last lap. So
yeah, I was saying on commentary, I thought if Big Sam didn't get lapped, he could have just completed the lap, and then he would have
he
actually
was
probably
struggling with
stayed
fuel.
P8. But I was struggling with fuel. That's probably why.
He was fuel saving all the way. He had like 0.2 left, maybe.
Ah,
That's why he was so
yeah,
slow and just like wasn't
fair.
like pushing. He couldn't push.
Fair
No.
enough.
So you got confused. It is double points just because it's 100% race.
Okay, gotcha. It is actually
So
double
what I
points.
mean is
That's big, then.
because the Red Bulls didn't in this race that well, helps us in constructors.
You're quite right. You are quite right. Like I
So
say,
we did
don't quote me on it.
last week.
Yeah, well, it's true. I mean, but I'm pretty sure. Well, if you're not in the lead of it, you're very close to the top again because you were leading. Because I don't know if they
Yeah,
updated
Miller
it after
winning
4
twice in the
races, but-
McLarens, yeah, and Buck doing well.
Yeah.
Tim's still arguing to get his position back on last week in Australia
Yes. Okay.
because he wanted if I got my position back in Spain when I got crashed out by Buck, and I did.
Yeah.
But it's slightly different because Buck took me out, and I don't know if the Terziak situation, not Terziak, Zeus's situation of losing fuel, which Tim wouldn't know and trying to use the slipstream.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's gonna thing. But Zeus hasn't got any penalty points for taking me out in Jeddah, so
Oh yes.
which I'm still peed off about.
Yes. Indeed. It's been quite a controversial season so far. Good grief.
We're gonna go to an arcade game next.
Yes. Oh gosh, yeah. Oh, it's gonna be
If I got a
fun.
controller, because it'd be easier on a controller supposedly, isn't it?
It might be more fun on a controller, to be honest.
So,
Not gonna lie. If you can still Fernando Alonso your way into every single corner, a controller probably is more fun on balance.
I don't know, you'd have to ask the people who actually bought F1 and tried the patch, I guess.
Yes. Well, J Lane says it's decent, but I don't know. I still need to
Yeah,
probably
that's J
give it
Lane.
another. Nah, I mean, look, I need to probably give it another chance still, to actually give a fair
We have to.
assessment.
We'll have to play it next week. Otherwise, no one's going to race next week. It'd be 4 people.
Yeah, true.
You know, it'd be 60 quid. Like,
Yeah, I know.
it's not a
annoying.
CD key still, and I don't go anywhere else. So
Oh, fair. They still not have it. Cripes.
no, the CDs still not have any codes. It's freaking annoying.
Jeez. That's not fun. Good grief. This is the calendar,
Oh,
though. If it's happening next
yeah.
week, apparently France is on the calendar next week. So if we
But,
move over to the
yeah,
arcade game, we can't do France.
No, so I don't know what we're gonna do if France just gets taken off. I guess.
Yeah, right. I assume so. If that's come to it, and then it'll be a Baku 35% or an. Which one do you do with a 35 and a 50? Because you got Baku and Monaco.
Oh God, I hate Monaco.
Good grief. J Lane said,
hate
sorry, I've
Monaco.
got a chat from J Lane. Said the race start. Your race start was very impressive. I will give you that. I enjoyed that race start. That was absolutely excellent. It was a great race.
So if you're gonna do a highlight video of this race, what laps should I record at the start? And what else?
Yes. Start. J Lane says 100% Monaco.
If you do 100% Monaco, I will not race it. Again, I'll come on commentary with you, Carl. I hate Monaco.
Active protest. Oh,
Literally,
fair
the
enough.
Qatar race is boring as shit, and I do not want to. What's the point of the damage and stuff in Monaco? It's not fun.
That's
So.
fair enough. It's fair enough. I don't blame you, honestly. Well, I imagine it. Well, who knows which way it's going to be round? Either 35% or 50 or 50-35. Either way.
Will I get voted 50% Monaco? I know that for a fact because people want Monaco. So
Fair. I had a great time at Monaco last season.
yeah, you did. Yeah.
I wasn't in the lobby for half the
I'll
race. I didn't know if I'd
you
won.
race for me, okay? You sub in for me for Monaco.
Shh! Don't tell
I'll
them our
commentate.
plan.
We'll do
I'll
that.
put a
I'll
voice.
race back,
I'll put a
bro.
voice filter on you. They'll never know.
We just don't depress you. Fine,
Yeah. Exuding
Literally.
optimism.
mate. I need to be this now forever in this because the way you last week. So.
Oh gosh. Well, honestly, I'm glad my voice made it through the entire thing of that race.
Probably because much action to shout about. I guess.
This is partially true, but also having not commentated a full. Well, other than I did do creators, so I didn't do the full 100% though in that Miami one. So this is my first actual proper.
I did see
100%.
Creator Series Season 7 come up, and I was like, "Oh, is Carl supposed to be doing Clipbook Carl today?" Or
I will let you know when I'm doing Clipbook, Carl. Not yet. Not yet
Okay.
is the answer. I was originally going to do it on, I think, the first week, and then I couldn't for whatever reason. can't remember why, but I was booked up at the time. Anyway, I hope maybe we'll be there this week. Who knows? If not, I'll throw my hat in the ring every week, so we shall see. Milo says, I loved listening to that while I raced, breaking the fourth wall. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. I'm glad you did. Hopefully it spiced up your life a bit more. At various points anyway. So, anyway, interesting points of Qatar would be the first lap.
The first lap.
So that's the Qatar race, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed. That was absolutely thrilling to watch.
Did Tim lead in the first lap?
He took the lead. He wasn't leading the first lap. It was Terziak who led the first lap. Timolele overtook him pretty early on, though.
So basically, highlight the first lap, watch the overtake from Tim, and then just put Tim wins at the end.
Yeah. Lights out and Timolele wins!
Yeah, that.
Great edit. You gotta love it, honestly. You gotta love it. Me overtaking Dirk 3 times. That'll be in there. I saw quite a few of your overtakes, Jaylene. I saw quite a few overtakes happen, especially between, I think it's Stark, Buck 20, and Big Sam. They had a good little tussle the entire way through. Stark especially, because he had a little moment at the beginning of the race and managed to make his way up to P5. He had a great race. He had a great comeback race. So fair play to him. So you overtaking Dirk 3 times will be there. That is a thing. I can't remember what laps they are on now. I have the memory of a sieve, but if you look through, you will find them. There's battles briefly between Terziak, Milo, and Jamie Tarquin. There was a 3-way battle going on there. Like I said, though, I said before that it would be track limits that would probably define how this race sort of ended. And it did, in a lot of ways. Anywho, Qatar is done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. And that'll do it for week number 3 of the Blackout Racing League. Mercedes on the move. It's a masterclass from Timolele, a tremendous drive of terrific proportions. How many words beginning with the letter T can I fit in? That remains to be seen. But either way, it was a monstrous victory. He absolutely crushed everyone. And that is all you need to know. As for the rest of the field, well, there was some decent overtakes going on. It did space itself out at points, this is true. But where the overtakes reservoir was sort of dried up, the strategy stream certainly wasn't. That was flowing very nicely indeed. We saw many different kinds of strategies. Even a one-stop in there from Dirkleton. A one-stop. What a madman. But he accomplished it. May not have necessarily garnered him position, but if you want a tyre whisperer, it's not Sergio Perez anymore, because he is now a Barry-R whisperer. In fact, not really a whisperer. He chats to Barry-R on a regular basis. Either way, that will do it, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this stream-ending screen. My husband made it. He's here. You can hear me complimenting him. He made this wonderful graphic. Look at him. I look adorable. You could squish me. I'm so adorable. That's weird. I don't know why I said that. But the point is, as I hold the checkered flag, that is indeed the checkered flag on this stream. Those are my socials. Oh my goodness me. I have a Twitter. I'll be honest, I don't really use it very often. I kind of fell out of love with Twitter, but I do use Instagram quite a bit. But if you want to follow me on either of those, then you're welcome to do so. If you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, you're welcome to do so. And while you're there, check out all of the other Blackout commentaries that I have done in previous, because I have done quite a lot in my time. To think I've done a full game cycle with Blackout. Done a full game cycle of F1 23. The first one I did was at Baku, the first season they did. That was streamed by a guy called Ivory. Lovely to commentate alongside him. Then it's been me riding shotgun pretty much since then. Didn't manage to do Miami, but that's because I was a noob and had multiple skill issues when it came to streaming. But it all came together. It all blossomed. And now we are doing this on a weekly basis, and I would not have it any other way. That is just a pure fact. A big thank you to Blackout for allowing me to commentate, as always. I survived, you survived, the drivers survived, we all survived the 100% race around, well, about 57 and Maximus didn't, sorry, but most of us survived the 100% Qatar Grand Prix. J-Lane says, one stop praying for safety car is not a strategy for race winning. No, it is not. I agree. I thought the 2-stop was the fastest strategy today. Or, to be honest, it was a toss-up between the 2 and the 3-stop at the end, depending on how you played your cars, but 1 stop, no, definitely not. And 4-stop, it's been a very bad race. My apologies. Gaseous gremlins. Either way, it is time to wrap it up. Thank you all ever so much for watching this chestnut small specimen on your screen. If you're wondering who made this wonderful person, and this one, and this wonderful start screen, the answer is, it's my dear husband. It's Mr. Magico. He crafted all of this. He architected it. Chiseled me to perfection. I mean, look at that. That is a vixen right there. But the point is, go and follow him if you haven't already. Go and watch what he does, what artwork he cooks up, what racing he cooks up, because he cooked up some nice overtakes today. And you should go and watch them right now. If you want to check out more Blackout stuff, because there is more coming along, J-Lane's YouTube channel, JLan3. There's Blackout from last season, not this season, but from last season, there's Blackout footage that has been compiled together with help, again, from my husband, Magico. It is an absolute masterpiece, so go and check it out. Go and subscribe to him. Go and enjoy the fun. And I think that's all the pleasantries I have to say. I don't think I've missed anything. Well done to all the drivers, obviously. I mean, to go through a 100% race without safety cars, given that we had 2 or 3 last season at Britain, which I won. But to go without safety cars is remarkable, so well done. And to race pretty much cleanly the entire way through is fantastic. So a very, very well done indeed. Next week, we are off to 3 tracks, maybe even 2. It depends if we're moving on to F1 24, but we shall find out soon. Until then, once again, I thank you for watching. Have a lovely rest of your night or day. And until next time, it's goodbye.